It's a bit like Harry Potter's wand. Very much the cue chooses the player.
I think when I was younger, the cue would be more important, but now, as I've got older, the cue's become less important.
A lot of people stick with one cue for life, pretty much. It's not like golf or tennis, where you change your equipment very regular.
Every trip we do, there's always at least one player's cue doesn't turn up on time or is damaged. The guy doing the oversized baggage came over to me, he went, "Nice to see you, Sean, unlucky last week in China." I was like, "Oh great, yeah, thanks very much." He said, "Your cue's not here." It's like, "Oh no," he said, "It's actually in Switzerland."
I went to do an exhibition in Germany with Judd Trump, got in the car in the morning, seen my ski tube was there, thought, right, we're ready to go, got to Birmingham Airport, realised that my ski tube was really light, I hadn't actually put the cue inside it, flew to Germany, and there was a German driver that picked me up, and he lent me his cue. I actually made a century of it. My brother flew in late, brought me my cue, couldn't par a ball.
I was playing at the World Championship one year in the first round, and I was losing 3-1. I asked the referee, Lonergan, during the mid-session interval to saw an inch off my cue. So that's what he done in the 15 minutes of the interval. He was sawing an inch off my cue in my dressing room. And then the very next frame I went out and I made a 136. Crazy times, crazy times.
All these great players have a special relationship with the one piece of equipment that they need to play this wonderful game. A snooker cue to a professional player is like a Stradivarius to a concert violinist. Find the perfect cue and we can create beautiful music on the bays. Here in Wales we have a rich tradition of outstanding cue makers, and one such cue maker operates a global business from a small corner of Pen y Bont.
My name's Jonathan Lonergan, and I started Lonergan Cues back in 2009. Over the years, a hobby became a craft, and in the end it becomes an absolute obsession. There's a lot of passion that goes into it. It's a traditional craft. It's done by hand and by feel. It's always going to be a craftsman's judgment, not a program on a computer that does what's told. So you can see the machines and stuff that we've got in here. They're not brand spanking new. There's machines from the 60s. They do exactly the thing that they need to do time after time. Hand planes have been the same for 100 years. I'm 17 years in now, and the cues go all over the world. China and Singapore, Thailand, New Zealand and Australia, USA, Canada, South America. Generally speaking, cues are made from two different timbers. You either get ash or maple. Before they get to this stage, it starts off as boards of timber. So part of the craft or the skill of making a cue is you need to be able to read the grain. So you need to be able to look at these boards in this form and see where the grain lines lie, how straight is the grain, how heavy is the board, is there a difference in colour across the board? And all of that factors in to making a cue that you know is going to look right, perform well, and last for years to come. Players will always want a straighter grain. It'll give you a more consistent pattern of chevrons down the cue. The timber comes from all over the world. There's stuff that only grows in very select regions, Suriname, Guyana. You're going to get stuff like this. Snakewood literally looks like snake skin. Very expensive, not because it's particularly rare, but because the grain pattern is so random, you don't always get the nice figure that you're looking for. So that is kind of an ideal piece. That, if you had that, that's A1. You're not going to get any better than that. And that's part of the attraction, is you're going to get natural variation. They're not mass-produced plastic parts. Every cue will be unique, and every piece of ebony will be slightly different. Every piece of rosewood will be different. There's dates on the end of some of these pieces. Some go back to 2019, some go back to 2015. And it's just a reference point for me, so I know when I bought them, how dry they are, when I'm comfortable using them. The rule is leave it longer than you think. Generally speaking, cue butts are made from ebony or rosewood. You can go for something as basic as that, just plain black ebony. That's what the customer wanted in that instance. Or you can go completely the other way. And the brief for this one was to just use 12 different exotic timbers, and it gets you a result like that, which is incredible looking really, and certainly unique. I think you'll agree you'll never see another one like that or get it mixed up with someone else down the club. The relationship the players have got with their cues is very unique.
I dabbled with a few different ones. I won the World Championship with a cue that was nearly 100 years old. I do all the tip work myself. If I'm going to make a mess of it, let me do it myself.
There's loads of new cues on the market, so there's a lot more to choose from nowadays.
This top 12 inches or so is the most important part of the cue. That's where all the whip is.
Sean Murphy talks about the top 12 inches of the cue that dictates how the cue plays and how it feels. But it's here, the top half an inch of the cue, that really makes the difference. The ferrule at the end of the cue and the tip that sits upon it are what really gives the feel and the way the cue plays. Deciding which ferrule and which tip to put on your cue is a raging debate within snooker.
Ferrules, that's all it is a ring of metal that compresses the fibres of the wood at the top to stop that cue from splitting under impact with the ball. So brass is a traditional choice, and more recently there's a lot of talk at the moment about titanium ferrules. So apart from the obvious visual differences, basically being the colour, there are some other marked differences between the two. Titanium is a much harder material, and when you hit the cue ball with a titanium ferrule, it doesn't deflect as much, so it doesn't push that cue ball offline as much as a brass ferrule would. So what it means is that if you're aiming a shot with side spin, you can effectively aim to pot that ball as you would if you were hitting it in the centre. How often do you hear it in commentary where they say, oh, he's got a little bit of unwanted side on that? And basically what they're saying is, because that cue ball is spinning, it's pushed off its original line and caused the player to miss the shot. So if you can use a titanium ferrule, much harder, doesn't push the ball offline as much, it's one less thing you've got to judge, and it makes it that much easier when you're playing the game. Players who have always played with brass find it difficult to change. Think about Judd Trump. Trump has recently moved to a titanium ferrule, didn't like it, he's moved back to brass. Part of the reason for that is he often addresses the cue ball off centre, doesn't necessarily hit the centre of the cue ball, but he knows how his cue is going to move that cue ball. As soon as you move to titanium and the throw is different, then it's difficult to adjust. So this is one where the ferrule has been fitted to an oversized shaft, and now it's just a case of taking the shaft down to match the ferrule. People like to order a cue from a craftsman where they can call them, and there's one person that's making that cue from the raw board to fitting the tip. It's only me that's involved. I love everything about it. The feel of the wood, the weight, the smells of different timbers from around the world. It's totally immersive, trying to make sure that every cue that goes out is better than the last one. I'm a firm believer that there is not a perfect cue, but I think every person will start off, they'll play with a rack cue, then they'll get into snooker or pool and they'll go to a sport shop and then buy a cue. And then they play for a bit longer and realise they could probably do with getting a better one than that, so they buy something else. And in the end, they come to someone like me who will make them something to their spec. But ultimately, it's the person pushing it. It's not the arrow, it's the archer.